I had not forgotten to press live, Gary. We just weren't live because we were running late. Sorry about that, people. We were running a bit late. We were so busy chatting about shows and stuff that we've seen and want to watch and talk about that we got a bit distracted. So I've got my usual panel. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's put up the banner so I can remember all the things we've got to talk about. There we go. So before I bring in my guests, a couple of things. I had quite a few new subs lately. So if you're someone who's subbed to the channel recently, you're one of the new people, then thanks very much for doing that. I really do appreciate your support. Also, right after we are finished with this show, I'm going to be doing another Lance Does Gaming. But this time, it won't be the American Civil War. I will be going somewhere else. I will be going to feudal China, and we will be battling in the War of the Three Kingdoms. That's right, Lance Does Gaming with the Three Kingdoms coming up in the not too distant future. We're doing that tonight, I think about just after midnight sometime tonight, not long after we finish this stream. So first of all, I'm going to bring in the man whose channel I realized I hadn't actually subbed to, even though he's been a guest many times. I was looking at his content the other day and I went, I haven't subscribed. Oh dear. Here he is, Northern Bastard. How are you, sir?
Yep, I was just about to say thank you. Better late than never then.
Sorry, man. I just completely forgot.
It's no problem. There's plenty of I've talked to and I've forgotten to sub straight away. It happens sometimes.
So, how have you been?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just trying to just get things cleared up a little bit because the weather's getting nicer and I want to try and get more content out. Got loads that I've got written down and I have not gotten to work on yet.
I did notice it had got a bit warmer today. So
not too bad.
Hopefully Blue Collar Loser is joining us this evening. Could you just make sure he's got the link? I'm pretty sure I did send it to him, but maybe just drop that to him just in case. Say hello. Okay. Jamalama is in the chat, and good to see you, Thomas. I always thought they should do a James Bond series. Honestly, something different and new, as they have plenty of Bond films and great Bond girls and villains. We'll get on to that. I'll tell you what, I know how they could do a female Bond if they wanted to. I've got my own thoughts on that, but it shouldn't be 007. Anyway, next up is the man who can at karaoke. It is my regular co-host and the man of all things artistic, Stupendous. How are you?
Chilling. I'm pretty sure Blue Collar's asleep or something.
Blue Collar's asleep?
I mean, he's got to be. I don't know.
Well, the link's there.
Can we call him on speakerphone live? See if we wake him up. That'd be fun.
Maybe. Let's try. But yeah, it's so funny because we have daylight savings still. So like, I'm like hitting you up like, wait, why is this thing an hour later? And you're like, no, it's at the same time as always. I was like, oh, right. We changed our clocks forward.
Yeah, your clock has changed. Mine is the same.
Which means you're going to change your clock soon, and then we're going to be an hour late one week randomly.
Yeah, so we'll have the whole chat again, but in reverse, basically.
Fun.
Sounds weird.
Quite a bit to talk about. I've got some shows that I want to recommend to people. I've got some shows that have been recommended to me that I haven't watched yet, but that I think we should, so that we can talk about them in the future. I also watched the pilot episode of a new show today, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. And I'm looking forward to watching the rest. It's got one of my favorite Australian actors in that show. And then I've also been recommended a new German show, which I had a look at the trailer. I think the trailer looks pretty good. Quite different, quite sort of mad, zany sci-fi. But it looks interesting. So that's another one we're going to talk about. But before we get onto all of that, there's a new James Bond in the house, apparently. Have you gentlemen heard and seen the choice that's being presented?
Yeah, they've kind of been
teasing him,
discussing this. Yeah, teasing this actor for a while, and after Bullet Train, I kind of sort of see why. But is it actually definite this time? and not just
Well, it's
they're thinking of getting him.
according to the news,
Formal
the contract has been offered to him, so I guess they're waiting for him to say yes. I mean, it's a bit weird because you would think that they would keep it all under wraps until he said yes. Because if they offer him the contract and then very publicly he turns around and says, "Yeah, I've thought about it," nah, that's kind of embarrassing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's probably one of those things where he probably has agreed and he just has yet to actually sign off. But yeah, it'd be funny if he changed his mind. I'm seeing what people are saying on social media, and I don't really think this is for me anymore.
Well, as in you don't think Bond is for you anymore?
No, I'm saying that's Aaron Taylor Johnson saying that,
Oh,
because I feel like a lot of times they float ideas on social media, like it's making it seem like this is something that's happening, just so they can gauge public response. Like that Acme movie that is apparently shelved. I bet you that movie doesn't even exist, and they're just like gauging. Oh, this movie is real, and we're gonna shelve it, and everyone's like, no, and that means okay. Well, I guess we should make the movie because it seems like that's what they want.
I mean, he's not a bad choice.
Is he American or is he British?
No, he's a British actor.
He's British.
He's
well,
a
that's
British
funny
actor.
because that makes all of his American roles so stupid now because he's a phony.
I mean, he's played some American parts,
right? Kick Ass and Godzilla and what else was he in? Oh, Quicksilver.
I mean, it's funny because obviously Idris Elba was touted as a favorite. I actually think he would have been pretty good. I don't care if
too old.
I don't care what race Bond is. I do think Bond has to be a man because he's based on a character written by an author, Ian Flemyng, who's no longer with us. And if you're going to call the character, Bond, it's got to be Ian Fleming's James Bond. He's still got to have some of those traits. He's still got to be, dapper, suave, sophisticated, intelligent, borderline chauvinistic. That's just the character. But there's nothing wrong with them doing a spin-off show and calling it 009, and 009's a woman, and she's called Julie Williams or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like
XX7. There you go.
Well, just call her whatever. Yeah, Triple X. Triple X, of course, is you could do that. You could do a spin-off from The Spy Who Loved Me, and it could be.
Oh my god! I just remembered Triple X with Vin Diesel. I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah, I don't like as a teenager, but if I watched it now, I'd be like,
it's so bad.
It's kind of dated. It's really fucking early.
Isn't that one where at one point he's on some kind of missile thing that's going down the river?
That could have been one of the sequels, honestly. But I remember the first one at the beginning to prove that he's like the real deal. He like steals some politician's car who's like anti-video games. And then he like drives it off a cliff and skydives while filming himself. Like, woo! How about just go hit the polls and vote? Like
you
maybe
can tell that someone's written for 12-year-olds. You can tell.
Oh, and Tony Hawk makes an appearance. Like, dude, Triple X, you're awesome, bro. Hey, we should watch that movie soon.
I'm glad to see that Lord Toxic is in the chat, and of course, we know his account was hacked a couple of days ago, and some teenager was using his account and having a hissy fit in the chat. So it's good that the real manly Toxic is back with us after that. So also a period throwback to the beginnings of Bond, set it in the 60s. That'd be pretty cool. Expensive, but hey, they can do it all now with the technology, and you own the Bond.
Have it animated. Do it animated. Bloody hell. Well, these days can use computers for that. Probably save some money.
Now, he's talking about owning the Bond novels. I've got to show you something in my box of treats. So, my parents owned several of the Bond books, and here they are. So these are really early editions. I've got Casino Royale. I've got Thunderball. I always thought this was very cool as a kid because it had like actual bullet holes
Oh,
in the
nice.
cover.
That is
You know,
cool.
as a kid, that was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
That's one of those things that's like it's a cute little detail, but it's like pretty expensive to just add those little details to your books.
Probably one of the worst Bond novels in my opinion. Even the film, as bad as that is, miles better than the novel.
Well, the novels are nothing like the movies. There's barely any resemblance. These are all editions printed in the 60s, by the way. None of them are first editions, sadly. But any Bond novels with these covers are now extremely rare.
It's a 60-year-old book.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and I am going to sell these at some point, probably when my gas and electric bill comes in. The one that's in really poor condition, sadly, is the Goldfinger one, which the spine has all crumbled and whatnot. But I am going to have to sell a load of shit to pay for my utility bill when it comes. So it may be that we'll do some kind of online Bond auction for these. So seven of them.
I'm just glad they didn't make Tom Holland Bond, or who else would have been bad?
That would have
Timothy
been
Chalamet.
Yeah, he's so young.
I'm glad it wasn't Tom Holland. I'm glad it wasn't Tom Hardy.
The Rock.
Tom else would have been totally wrong. For too short. Tom Holland's too short. They're just not the right. Just don't have that thing, you know. Bond, and I was never that sold on Craig personally. I just he was all right, but I liked Casino Royale, but didn't really enjoy the other films.
Yeah, even though he had some of the worst movies, I always liked Pierce Brosnan. I
thought Brosnan was a great
Bond. He had the charm. He had the toughness.
Like, when you read about James Bond, you picture him in your head. It's like, yeah, you picture a Pierce Brosnan looking guy.
Yeah, I think Brosnan is the closest Bond to like Flemyng's vision of all the Bonds we've had. I think
it's weird because Book Bond, he is a bit more open about his opinions on things, and he's more of a snob as well. He's very snobby.
Hey, good dude, I'll drop you the link, man. You can come on, pop on.
He's got homework. He's just said he's got work to do.
Yeah, but that's not real work. That's just going onto Wikipedia and noting a load of Beetlejuice facts, man.
I just watched the movie again. I call it research.
I think actually it might not be the real Toxic, because he said, look, no, Lance is taking the piss. So this could be the teenager. Could it be the hacker again?
What are you talking about?
When Toxic got his account hacked by that.
Random was the one being a bitch ass. I don't want to hear any more about this. Tony K, if you're watching, go fuck yourself, Tony K.
That's to calm him down. We did.
Yeah. Hey, I know. Well, he's only the director of the film. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Good director, but calm the fuck down,
he's the director, he can come in here under an alias and start teasing everybody.
Hey, Gord King can stop by. I mean, we've got to get him while he's still small potatoes, because you know.
Oh, also, yeah, Gord King doesn't trust Wikipedia.
Good job. Not going to talk to us.
Wikipedia is a nightmare.
Yeah, you've got.
You're showing that. Yeah, sorry. You're showing the Thunderball James Bond book, right? After reading that, the Blofeld in that book is the one we should have gotten in the movies. The one with the ransom fucking plot storyline. That was great. It gave this character a sense of morality as well, despite the fact that he's this megalomaniac.
Fiona says it best. It's like, that's, Aaron Taylor Johnson's the new James Bond. Who cares? It's not gonna be good. Who cares? That's how
they've got way too many people who don't fucking get what this character is. He's a slightly sexist, hard-boiled killer, and that's what he should be.
Even if they said Chris Nolan's directing the next James Bond or Quentin Tarantino, I still wouldn't care. I still wouldn't trust it. I'd be like, whatever. I'll believe it when I see it.
See, I think Tarantino should have done the Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie. I think he would have done a great job.
I only saw the Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie once, but I liked it.
It was all right.
That was Guy Ritchie, right?
It was all right, but it didn't have a nod to the theme tune. I wanted the down.
That's extra money.
It's so iconic, man. It's iconic as the Bond tune, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Gord, I sent you the link, and Princess Fiona, if you want to come on. give me a shout. We've got Tim's talk in the chat.
Send Toxic the link.
Tim, if you want to pop on, let me know. I'll send you a link.
I'd be surprised if Princess Fiona pops on because I've never seen her live. I've never seen her live. We've chatted to her a couple of times.
She's not going to make her debut on your channel, Lance.
You never know. You never know. But I tell you who will.
High
the
profile.
Gold King is in that. Michael Cera's in the
Hey,
house.
God.
Oh, hello. How are we doing today?
Where the fuck are you, Blue? Blue, where are you, man? I've sent the link.
Yeah, well, look, he'll come when he comes. Don't worry about it.
Probably busy.
We've got a celebrity here now. So Gord, were you not considering the Bond role? Did your agent, not give him a call, say, hey?
I mean, you know what they have against the Americans. I mean, we're not proper Bonds, but they maybe they need a villain. I don't know.
Do you know they nearly offered it to James Brolin back in the day?
Oh my gosh, really?
When before it went to George Lazenby for On Her Majesty's because they couldn't find anyone.
George Lazenby. What bothers me about him because Stupendo brought up Pierce Brosnan, who is similar to him. I look at him as James Bond. He looks the part. He's got the suave. He's got it all. But other than Goldeneye, he was stuck in mostly crap movies. Yeah. George Lazenby is probably the worst Bond and got one of the best Bond movies, and it annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah, it's a great script.
I love On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I'm like,
no, so do I. I like the helicopter attack at the end, which is just outstanding, man.
And Diana Rigg, my gosh, best. I think she's the best Bond girl ever.
She is good. She is really good in it.
Another good Bond girl was Halle Berry, but she was in that terrible movie. Wasn't that the one where the guy's like gonna freeze the world or some nonsense or internet?
Yeah, that was not a good
film. Mogul.
That was almost closer. That was almost closer to the Moonraker novel than the actual Moonraker Bond film.
Wasn't the bad guy in the Halle Berry one the dude from Brazil? The guy?
No, that's Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
I like Tomorrow Never Dies. I think Tomorrow Never Dies is a good.
Yeah, that one's okay.
That was Shirley.
Very underrated.
Was that Denise Richards? Was she the?
No, that's Michelle Yeoh is Tomorrow Never Dies.
That's There's Not Enough, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, Denise Richards was in the one after that.
Christmas Jones. What a terrible
Electric King's the main Bond girl in that, even if she is the fucking villain. I don't care.
Sophia Marsh. How do you pronounce her last name? Sophia what?
Marcel. She's French, isn't she?
Yeah. She was in Braveheart, right?
Yeah. I was just trying. I was more looking rather than trying to
Sophie Marceau. I think that's how you say your name.
Yeah. The fact that you got Bond falling in love with the villain is actually a really good little twist, and I like that.
Yeah,
it ruins Robert Carrall's character, though. That's all.
I quite like the plot to that Bond film, but man, I'd love them to remake On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but with a decent Bond in. Just do exactly the same fucking script. Try and use the same locations. But with a man who can act.
I will say this. It is very faithful to the novel, though. It is.
Yeah.
You can go to this location. It is actually a restaurant now. And they sell these 007 coffee mugs up there. They're exclusive to that restaurant. You've got to go there to get them.
Jesus, you go all the way to the top of the mountain and you're like, sorry, we have an hour-long wait. And you're like, shit. We're all full.
This was a big inspiration for the snow sequence in Inception.
Yeah.
I could guess what you were about to say. I didn't even know that. I was just like,
good film, but
is there any climate or what's the word, like topographic type of area that James Bond hasn't been in? I know he's been in the desert, he's been in the jungle. He should probably go in the jungle again. He's not in the jungle enough, I don't think.
He's been underwater and he's been to space. He hasn't been on the moon.
Yeah,
the ocean. Not literally the moon, although he did in Diamonds Are Forever, he walked across the moonscape.
He's definitely been in a lot of movies with like snowy mountains. That's a common setting for James Bond, which I'm over it.
He's been in a pyramid.
How about James Bond in where Northern English Bastard lives? in like
I
some
kind of think if he has been.
seedy part of England, you know, like where all the people are.
Well, he was in seedy New York and Live and Let Die, so I don't know, but
just like a bunch of drunk soccer hooligans in the bar with James Bond, like trying to find
Martini, you bloody puff. Get a bloody beer down here, mate.
Is it a coincidence that we're talking Bond and I'm eating broccoli?
I want to hear what people think in the chat about Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Yes or no for Bond? And Gord,
sure.
What do you think about this choice?
I mean, as far as casting is concerned, I think it's really good. I like Aaron Taylor-Johnson a lot. I think he's a dang good actor. I mean, I agree with Stupenzo. It's all going to really come down to the story they tell.
Yeah,
but,
if he gets a good script, he could be a great Bond. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I if you had asked me several years ago, I probably would have been a lot more iffy. But I really like him in movies like Bullet Train. I mean, Bullet Train's not a great movie; it's a fun movie, but he's fantastic in it. And yeah, I definitely think he can pull off Bond.
Dude, to be James Bond, you only got to do 3 things: be British, shoot guns, and crush ass. And if you could do those 3 things believably, then yeah, why can't you be James Bond?
What do you have against donkeys? That means Shrek just needs to learn how to shoot.
Yeah.
Well, let me. So I want to know. So Princess Fiona says no. Grandad says yes. Drew Gordon, welcome to the channel, mate. It's an okay choice. All depends on the script. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Tim says, I think it's great casting. Liberty Blop has missed the question and has said, oop. Okay, so yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. He's been offered the contract. It's not a yes. So Princess Fiona said, I'd rather have Zendaya as Bond. There you go. I'm not sure you're being serious, sir.
She's definitely not being serious.
Not sure she's being serious there. All right, so I've got a couple of shows that I've not watched, apart from the first step of one, that I'd like to recommend you guys and ask you to try and watch. Not necessarily for next week's show, but for within a couple of weeks. The first of these is Star Original, stars Richard Roxburgh. And Gord, I'd be particularly interested to know what you think of this show, because it's got a whole religious thing going on. So it's called Prosper, and it's about a fictitious megachurch that is based in Australia and is about to sort of make inroads into LA. And this is
if this is about the subject that the title suggests, I probably have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling it's kind of paralleling Hillsong a little bit, which has caused huge controversies over here. And
I'm not a fan of theirs.
Oh well, neither am I. So good.
Hillsong. Not if anyone's curious about exactly what kind of Christian I am, I see Hillsong in an incredibly negative light.
Yeah, well, I mean, taking money from all your parishioners in large amounts on collection plates and then showing off your $700 trainers that you've gone and bought with that money on your Instagram account is not really what religion's about, is it? When people are suffering and some people can't afford to pay bills and eat food. So I'm totally with you.
There's an off misquote or misunderstood passage of scripture where that and even some decent churches get this wrong, where Christ is basically, you see this woman who gives her last 2 cents, and a lot of people think that's a model giving, to kind of give your all. If you read the totality of that passage, Christ is not commending that. He's basically saying this woman is being, because she's like a widow, and he's basically saying this church that she's in is taking her for all she has. It's like they are such thieves that they would take even the last 2 cents off of a widow. These kinds of people, them, the Joel Osteens of the world. It's like, I'm not too fond of them myself.
Well, some people may recognize Richard Roxburgh as being one of the main bad guys in my favorite Mission Impossible film that everyone hates, Mission Impossible 2. He's also had his own, he's also had his own show in Australia. But it's a pretty interesting story. I've only seen the pilot, the first episode. There's 8 episodes out, but I like it, and I think it sets up a pretty cool premise. This is the girl on the right is his daughter. They have a whole kind of gospel band and so on. Smilex, who's in the chat, who, as we know, is that's really Idris Elba's account, is asking if he got James Bond. I'm afraid you didn't, mate. It's been offered to someone else. So yeah, so put Prosper on your to watch list, guys, because I think it's a good show so far. I've only seen the first ep, but I'm going to watch the rest.
I have put it on.
And then this show has been recommended to me. And not a great score on IMDb, but I really liked the trailer. Basic premise is that there's been a disaster in the world. Helgoland is the only island owned by Germany off the German coast. It's a big, like, rocky peninsula with a lighthouse and a village on it, if you go and have a look at it on Google Earth. And there's a society of 513 people on it who've managed to avoid the infection, the outbreak, if you like. And they have this big chart inside the sort of main command center, and all the names are listed on that chart on strips that you can take out. Depending how useful you are to the community, you go up or down the list, which I really like. And if you go below 513, you get kicked off and you get sent back to the mainland where you're going to die. So it's a bit like Silo. There's a bit of Silo. If you guys have been watching Silo, this is kind of the German Silo meets The Walking Dead. Yeah, the trailer looks interesting. I'm going to watch a couple of eps. Reviews are very mixed, but I quite liked the look of it. Any thoughts?
Are they gonna current day us with COVID analogies? Because if so, I'll pass. I
didn't get from the trailer. I didn't really get the COVID thing. No, don't think so.
Good.
And it certainly there wasn't.
Dude, I see movies nowadays where someone's wearing a mask and it just ruins it for me, or something. A show or someone's wearing. Fuck this. I don't care.
I wasn't getting that from this.
Cool.
I wasn't getting that from this. Watch the trailer. See what you think. I mean, before COVID, there were post-apocalyptic set shows. After COVID, there's been post-apocalyptic set shows. And generally, people that I can tell you now, everybody at all the channels, all the platforms, if you propose a film or a TV show to them, you say, well, it's set during the pandemic. They just say, no, what else you got? Watch that shit. Honestly, I was told that from a producer in a meeting just the other day, where I said, I've got an idea for a romance, and she said, is it set during the pandemic? I said, yeah. No, think of something else.
Yeah,
I want to do a pandemic thing, but it's a pandemic, but like basically the world's taken over by pandas.
There you go.
That would be the best.
A pandemic.
Pandemic.
The virus turns you into a panda, so everyone's becoming like panda people. Oh my god!
And you basically, it's like everyone's confused because you've cured racism because everybody's black and white. So yeah, you got a whole bunch of stuff.
The problem is we need to plant.
Awesome.
We need to turn the world into a giant bamboo farm, or we're all going to starve to death. We refuse to eat anything but bamboo, and we refuse to procreate because we're all panda bears all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fantastic plot for a movie. Let's move on to The Acolyte, the trailer for the new Star Wars show. It's out
goody.
It's out in June. I won't play the whole thing because but look, once again, this prop has been reused. And
I have a feeling most of the audience is going to say, I won't play the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, has anybody else watched the trailer apart from me?
I saw it.
So first of all, it's so bitch made to like copyright claim trailers. You
gosh,
losers.
No.
But yes, I mean, I saw the trailer, and it's like that Rich Evans video where he's watching the new trailer and he just like stares at it blankly and doesn't even react. I mean, that's just like what I'm thinking when I watch this. I'm just like,
Well, I mean, I'll tell you something that there's some bits in it that I thought, oh, that kind of looks cool.
Well, that's everything ever. Like, yeah, this would be cool. Like, you have to understand, like, we've been wanting a High Republic live action story for the longest time, and now they're finally doing it, and everyone's just so burnt out on it, we don't even care. And just because there's blood in it, there's blood on the poster, and it's like, cool. This would have been well received 10 years ago.
Well, there was one thing in it that I didn't want to see ever in the Star Wars universe, and that's bladed weapons. Knife crime in the UK is a pandemic on its own, with kids stabbing each other with short knives. And what I always liked about the Star Wars universe was it was either laser guns or lightsabers. Generally, people using actual swords or knives and stabbing people. You kind of didn't really see that in Star Wars. I think the first time we saw somebody actually get stabbed was in Rogue One. When that guy stabs Danny Mays is the name of the actor that gets stabbed. He kind of gets.
I thought he got shot.
I think he got stabbed, didn't he? Didn't he get stabbed?
I think he does get stabbed.
I think he gets stabbed. Anyway, but generally, as a rule of thumb, I don't like seeing people getting stabbed with knives in Star Wars. I feel like that's too. It's always supposed to be space opera, and again, let's keep it in the realms of science.
Yeah, like
fiction.
even in Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting droids, with their lightsabers. It's like, okay, the droids don't have lightsabers, but they have weapons that can fight with those. So it's still futuristic. It's still sci-fi. It's not just straight up blades.
Yeah, I don't mind the bladed edge weapons as much as I mind the kung fu and weak force push that we're seeing. Just like stuff like that. I mean, again, it's like we were talking about Terminator 2. Like, why haven't we seen the T-1000 do its full potential? Like, if you were a Jedi Master, why can't you just stop someone's heart or make their head explode in their head or their brain explode? Why can't you? Like, why is it that all we see from the Force is like force pushes and lightning hands and making things float? It's just, I mean, I want to see people phase shift and teleport and read minds and control people's thoughts. Like, there should be like the X-Men, where there's like a unlimited array of powers, and they all come with like training, and you don't really know what your powers are going to be. Kind of like vampires, like you sometimes like vampire becomes a vampire and they can read thoughts. Some vampires can like regenerate real quickly or whatever. It's like a case by case basis. I don't know.
Yeah, but it wouldn't work like that. What would happen is a woman would turn up to Jedi school. Right. And they would say, you're a woman acolyte. You've now got 20 powers and they're all at level 10.
She's the most powerful Jedi.
Man turns up to acolyte school. You've got no powers, and what you have are all at -5.
She's the chosen one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, this trailer struck me as it's incredibly generic. It's like, it's not the most horrendous trailer I've ever seen, but it was just bland, very bland. It was kind of just like it's like, okay, this is all a lot of what I expected, and I am unmoved.
This is all shot in that 360 effects tundra thing. What's it called again? The turnip or whatever they call it. I don't know. The effects, the 3D effects environment green screen wraparound thing where you can create anything, and it all just looks sterile. In other words, fake.
Yeah, they filmed the whole thing in that Las Vegas dome.
Yeah, that's it. Smilex, yes, there is a parrot frog hybrid in the show. He's hiding in those trees. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it does look a bit like, okay, there's a Wookiee and whatnot, which is all fine. I mean, some of this stuff looks very Star Wars.
It's also giving off like Hogwarts vibes, though, too, at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like Jedi training 90210.
It's like Hogwarts plus like samurai, Like,
Smilex, you're pointing out something that's annoying me about a lot of shows these days is the costumes look far too pristine. I don't know if anybody watched Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. Those costumes are just pristine the entire time, and it is incredibly aggravating.
Good to see you, Gooch.
One of my favorite costume details is when the clothes like look really worn out, like in detail, like Matrix. First Matrix, when they come into the real world and all their clothes are like tethered, like sweaters that are all patchy and holes and dirty. I love it.
Yeah, the Jedi clothes do look very,
Little bad.
I mean, that ship crash landing was kind of a cool shot.
Calgon, ancient Jedi secret.
I understood that reference.
There's your cool boss lady that we saw earlier, I'm guessing.
Another one.
She's got a t-shirt from Cyberdog by the looks of it.
Here's the thing, like I'm not bothered by attractive ethnic woman with a sword. I'm also not impressed by ship crashing. I've seen, what space movie doesn't have a cool spaceship crashing,
What about albino woman?
Sure, whatever. With devil horns, why not?
Y'all know who that is, don't you?
No.
X-23 from Logan.
Oh, the actress?
Daphne Keane.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's the entire reason she was cast. Apparently, that was the only reason they cast her. Was I want to see.
Here's what the majority of the show is going to be. It's going to be like, dude, like a bunch of Jedi standing in a room, and one of them is just like, just I don't know, monologuing semi philosophical jargon. It's all going to be like very vague, wish-wash kind of nonsense just being spewed out of their mouths at all times, and it's going to be paraded around as if it's somehow like prophetic or deep or anything like that. It's all going to be just stupid.
How many
just going to be bouncing around from point to point as well, aren't like there's not going to be any real structure to these shows.
Do we know how many episodes the show has?
It's going to premiere with 2. I
saw that.
That's too many. It's too many.
Too many. I think it's 8. I think that's going to be.
I think I heard 8. Coming on the 4th of June.
How many times is someone going to be mentioning like the balance between light and dark, the dark side and the light and the force?
Smilex says 403 episodes, but they're only a minute.
It just never ends, dude. It just comes out every week forever, and we're like, "What's happening?"
It's the new One Piece.
Yeah. Well, I still haven't seen all of One Piece, by the way. Should I?
Who has? I was talking about the cartoon,
and I was like,
I haven't seen the original yet. I know people who don't.
I mean, I know it's a big thing. It's a really, it's got a really massive following. It's like one of the most popular graphic novels in the world.
It's also got like the longest like runtime or something out of any. Like, how long is it? Like episode wise,
it's got something like 1,000 episodes at this point, I think.
Awesome.
Well,
might as well just be watching like The Young and the Restless or one of those soap operas that's been on for 40 years.
Yeah, we're talking about the cartoon, obviously, not the
right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the cartoon is like super huge.
1,108 episodes.
Good, and it's still going on. It's still going though, right?
Yeah. It's never gonna end.
Well, it's like Berserk or Dragon Ball, like just until the guy keels over, drawing a One Piece picture. That's when the show will be done.
Not even The Simpsons has that many episodes. That's been going longer.
I know. It's because Simpsons. I think that's the other thing is they do they take breaks. They take longer breaks, and I don't know. And The Simpsons, that just upsets me. It's still on.
Yeah, I mean, granted, The Simpsons has a ton of episodes, but. Not that many. 762, I think.
Yeah, like Drew Gordon says, that's my big problem with a lot of anime shows is like most of the episodes are like recapping at the beginning and then next week on Dragon Ball. It's like, so like the bulk of the episode. And also they do like little recaps between the fake commercial breaks,
Well, that's, so, what, you could argue that's kind of genius is this week's episode is how you learn about what happened last week. And if you want to learn about this week, tune in next week.
I mean, that definitely works with the TV formula when we used to watch stuff on TV and you didn't really control when it was on or there's commercials and everything. And but nowadays it's just like, I really appreciate it if someone could do like fan edits of some of these animes and just like cut out all of the recapping. Like, please.
Yeah. I think there's a really good 2 feature films to be made from the Masters of the Air show because I've been rewatching it again, and I'm doing a binge of it in a single day this week as well. But I think there's probably 2 really good like epic 2 movies there that could be cut from that however, was it 450 minutes we got? Something like that.
Yeah, it's better if we just don't and say we did. How about that? Let's just say.
Well, I've got a video coming out. I'm writing the script for the video right now. Big, extensive, detailed breakdown of Masters of the Air. It's going to be like my first proper big critique video.
Good.
So
nice.
I've done a couple before, but this is like, yeah, man. It's this is going to be Gord King levels of analysis, buddy.
Yeah.
Hopefully, with some of your wit included, rubbing off on me.
Yeah, I'm allegedly working on a big Renfield video. So.
Nobody will know Renfield as good as Stupenzo.
Do you mean the Nicolas Cage thing?
Yeah, I've been like saying I was going to make a big Renfield video for like 8 months, and now it's going to come out in early April, which happens to be the 1-year anniversary of the movie. I didn't even plan on that. I'm like, wow, weird.
Well, that's work then.
Yeah.
So I've got another movie I'm going to recommend, and then I want to see what you guys have been watching and if you've got any recommendations to make yourselves. So I mentioned this movie, I think briefly on a previous episode. I don't know if anyone else has seen it since I mentioned it on that occasion. Let me take down this NAF thing. Don't need to spend any more time talking about that, do we? Right, okay. This is a film that actor Jason Flemyng actually recommended to me. Said I would really like it, and he was.
Is he in it? That'd be hilarious.
He's not in it.
Oh, I saw Past Lives. It's very good.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before, but when I mentioned it previously, most people hadn't seen it. So I'm just going to give it another plug because I really did like it. It's a kind of tragic love story about two friends. The protagonists are both in this picture. They meet as kids. They're kind of crushing on each other from day one. They grow up in separate countries, but stay in touch kind of like via Zoom and Skype and that kind of thing. And ultimately they end up with different people, but you're rooting for them to end up being together. It's a really simple but beautifully made film, fantastic story. I really liked it. So I know Stupenzo's seen it. You're of like mind. You thought it was pretty good, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd give it 8 out of 10. Gord, Northern, have you guys seen it?
I have not.
No, I think I might have seen it advertised a couple of times, but never really. There's so many shows now. You kind of like most of them. You kind of scroll past, don't you?
No, yeah,
Well,
I had heard about this like way before it came out. Like everyone was talking about it on the circuits. Like this movie's good because I guess it's like a debut for these some of these actors and the writer director, I think. But yeah, I don't know.
It's not a big commitment. It's just one film. It's it's 90 minutes of your time.
Recommend me all the 90-minute movies you can. I'll watch 4 or 5 of them, no problem. You tell me to watch one show that's like 6 hours or longer, I really get turned off by it.
You've got John Magaro in it in a supporting role. He's been in quite a few things. You guys
remember the X-Files mulvie?
Yeah, I've seen all the X-Files movies.
Yeah, I've seen the
X-Files movie. The first X-Files movie. There's that part where like Mulder and Scully are about to kiss, and they don't because like a bee stings her out of nowhere. And I remember in the theater, the entire audience was like, "Oh,
come on!"
So this movie is basically that. The whole that's the whole movie, like that feeling. You're like, ah.
I actually really like the X-Files movie.
No, the first X-Files movie is great. I love it.
Yeah, but you do want these characters to end up together, and it's a small film that feels really big because of the fact that they both live in separate cultures, and you see both of those worlds as well. Yeah, I really liked it. Very good, great acting as well.
Yeah, great. I love when actors do bilingual roles. That's always cool.
Yeah, and this is them when they're younger. Yeah, it's great. Like 1 minute they're speaking in their own language, next minute it's broken English in some other scenes. I love the way the movie opens, where there's 3 characters sitting in a bar and you hear someone else's voices and they're looking at them and they're trying to assess who they are.
Right.
That's a really clever sort of setup for the movie, and when we come back to that scene, it kind of has a much more powerful resonance because by then we know exactly what's going on in that scene. Yeah, so chat. If you haven't seen Past Lives, it's a good date movie. It's a good one to watch with your partner, or if Gord King's having one of his actress parties, 6 ladies, either side of the pumpkin. So I recommend it. Gord, as you're not normally here on Tuesdays, what else have you been watching lately, sir? Or what else would you like?
Gosh. I mean, I've been
old or new, doesn't matter.
Well, as far as new stuff, I've mostly been inundated with garbage because I've been working on episode 3 of Rings of Power video, so I've been watching and rewatching scenes from that. I'm almost done with that script, or at least the rough draft of it. And
did the show get better as you watch?
No. This one, it's weird. It might not be the worst episode, but it's Galadriel at her most insufferable thus far, and it's pretty. And it's one of those things where it's like the first time I watch the episode, I'm like, okay, she's awful, but maybe the whole episode's not so bad. But then when you start to actually pay attention and break down everything that's being said little by little, you're like, oh, there's so much wrong with this too. But so there's that, and then Fridays I've been on Abomination AJ's channel. We've been talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, which that's every bit as terrible a show. That one's pretty painful to watch because I'm a huge fan of the animated show. But I did finally get to watch Dune Part 2 last week.
What did you think of that?
I quite liked it. I mean, I found the discourse around it to be really interesting because it started off, everyone was like losing their minds, like, oh, this is the new Empire Strikes Back. And then there's this wave of the opposing dudes like, no, this movie sucks. And I'm like, okay, it's neither of those. It's like the next tier of really good sci-fi movies. It
was quite a bit. It's good, but I think it didn't give us enough. Like, you set up the Sardaukar as these really big villains, obviously of the main villain.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, I wanted to see them get their comeuppance, not just have them go into the mist and then have Paul come out. I wanted to see them fight and get killed. And when he said execute the Sardaukar, I wanted to see them get executed.
Yeah.
Because we had earned that, not it to be kind of arbitrary, but some gripes aside, yes, it was a good film. It was a good film.
And I've been trying to catch up on some movies from the past couple of years that I hadn't seen. I did finally get to see The Father with Anthony Hopkins. I loved that. I was really impressed with it. Like, that was one I didn't even know what the movie was until I saw that Mahler had done a video on it, and I was like, okay, I don't want to see his video. I do want to watch the movie, so I finally got to watch it. I think it's fantastic. Shoot, what else have I watched? I mean, obviously I've got Beetlejuice that I'm covering tonight, so I'll watch that. Rewatching Gone Baby Gone.
Once up for a role in Lord of the Rings.
I don't know. What did they not like about this?
I don't know. I mean, maybe the color was wrong.
Super bad.
Your Beetlejuice thing is tonight.
Yeah, and I always love coming back to that movie. It's so inventive, and that I saw it so young that it was that was like so influential on my imagination. Like, I was just, even as a little kid, I was just blown away at how they did all that stuff.
Can you guess my favorite scene in that movie, which I do a movie quiz every Christmas. And in fact, of course, I did the online one with some of you guys.
Favorite scene in Beetlejuice?
Do we get a hint of any kind?
No, I don't want a hint.
Show this scene, and I've shown it at about 3 quizzes now. It's.
I think it's the scene when the guy goes in the filing cabinet, the ghost guy, the body. He slides into that little slot.
It's like,
no,
I'm feeling a little flat.
Oh, it's this scene. Okay.
When they're in the waiting room, but actually, like, I like it not when Beetlejuice is there, when the others arrive at the waiting room, and you've got the guy who's been like pancaked in the car accident, and he's kind of on that. He's on that kind of like washing line, and
he was the guy I was talking about. Yeah.
And then, there's somebody who's died from a shark attack, and the guy with the shrunken head who's the hunter. And
I love that the beauty, like the beauty queen. It was funny when as I got older and watched that movie, I always thought the beauty queen who greeted them and that she looked familiar. I was like, I can't tell if she looks familiar because she's got blue all over, but that's actually the main actress from Three Amigos, the one that Steve Martin ends up having a crush on. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
She died really young.
Yeah.
She passed away not that long ago, you know.
Yeah.
I was really,
Lance on brand with like reminding us someone's dead and bumming us out.
You know what? I watched that film recently, and whenever I watch a movie, I go and see what are those actors doing now. And I always had a crush on that woman. And
yeah, she 55. She was 55. Yeah.
Movie history. We'll come back. Why?
Yeah, I love the smoking guy when he's like, the smoking guy's like, you got a light? He's
yeah.
No, he's like, you want a cigarette? He's like, oh no, thank you. He's like, I'm trying to cut down myself.
Yeah, there you go. No, I love.
He just keeps puffing on it.
The flattened guy when he's like telling, thanks, I'm feeling a little flat. Ha ha! You just see him like slide off into that slot. I think growing up though, I think my favorite part of the Beetlejuice movie now is like when the New York family is moving into the house and like the movers are like dealing with Catherine O'Hara's art. She's like, it's my sculpture, and I don't mean it's mine as that I bought it. I mean it's my sculpture, and they're just like put it on.
Staring at her like, what do you want me to do with it already? Put it on the table.
Yeah, it's a great film. It really stands the test of time. There's a sequel on the way, isn't there?
There is indeed. It's going to have a lot of the same cast coming back. Not everyone, obviously, but in Jenna Ortega, I think it's going to play Winona Ryder's daughter.
Jeffrey Jones better not come back.
I don't think he's ever coming back.
No, after what they found out on him.
Let's not discuss that.
Why does that guy have to infect some of my favorite movies?
I still like him as an actor. I still love him.
He was a dang good actor. His
performance Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Well, I don't like
Amadeus.
Yeah.
Pervert. Bad.
Yeah. So Beetlejuice, Gord is going to be live streaming and chatting all things Beetlejuice in about an hour's time.
2 hours.
2 hours time. So if you want to check that out on the Gord Kings channel, and Gord is now over 1K.
Yeah,
we were going to throw him all a big party, but he said, no, I'm going to play a game instead, and just invited us to watch. But when he hits 5K, he said he's throwing us all a big party, champagne included. So we need to get him there as well. I think those Lord of the Rings reviews, man, I think they're doing pretty well, right?
They're doing pretty decent. Now, I'm looking forward to putting out the third one whenever I can, because that'll be the first one, first piece of created content I will have put out since hitting 1,000. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a few of my friends watched those, and they really liked them. They said they made them laugh.
Oh, cool! I'm glad I could entertain. That's the whole goal.
Absolutely.
Well.
Yeah. So, what about you, Northern? What have you been watching, man? And why have we lost your avatar? You're naked at the moment.
Wait, what? My avatar's gone.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
It's all white and gray and mysterious.
Don't worry about it.
Is it?
While you're
he'll try to fix it and make the technical difficulties worse.
Yeah, what have you been watching? And while you're thinking about it, here's a series of unrelated Michael Cera photographs.
Hey, it's me and Gord King. There you go.
Hey,
so, together.
This was our past lives.
Right. The story of almost.
Yeah. So, Northern, what have you been watching?
Well, I did rewatch Taxi Driver again last Saturday. Fucking long time since I watched
there, buddy.
Yeah, that's a good chill out comedy film to relax to, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I did rewatch Mean Machine after a long time. I've not seen it. That's it. Yeah, it's dated a little bit, but it's still pretty funny.
Do you mean Mean Machine with Burt Reynolds, or do you mean
with Vinnie Jones? Yeah, the remake. British remake.
That's got Jason Flemyng in it.
Yeah, as Bob. Yeah. Bob with Bob.
The two Bobs.
Yeah.
They shot their scene when there was absolutely nobody else there, on an entirely different day.
I will never watch that. I will never watch that scene the same way again. No, I'm just going to be sat there watching them saying, "There's no one else there, you know. They're all by themselves."
One of my friends is in this. Well, in addition to Jason, I've got a couple of mates in this. So for people that aren't familiar with it, this is a remake of the Burt Reynolds movie, The Longest Yard, which is actually, I think, I did a top 10 Burt Reynolds stream, and I think that was my number one pick.
So it's like a football movie, but with The Longest Yard.
Yeah,
Jason Statham's on it as well as the monk, and he pretty much steals the every scene that he's in.
Yeah,
he was the Adam Sandler Longest Yard remake, and that also has Burt Reynolds in it, right?
It's set in an English prison. Jason Statham's in it.
I don't like him with hair. It upsets me. The more hair he has on his head, the stranger he looks.
Yeah, he only agrees to do it if he gets to beat up the fucking guard. Which is it always makes me laugh.
Yeah. This is David Kelly plays like the caretaker character. Danny Dyer's in it. An actor friend of mine, Stephen Walters, who was in Band of Brothers, who's the guy who blows up the tank with the bazooka. That's him. He's being dragged off. He's the one who kills him. Sets him on fire. He always plays lunatics. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time he was speaking, phlegm kept
spitting
out of his mouth. He's crazy. Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah. There's Jason and what's his that actor's just passed away. The other guy that's with him. Sorry, I mentioned that. I'm on a ban from.
That was the great photo. Those two guys with the mics in their mouth. Like that's like a caricature of like every political debate ever.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, he played the alternate Lister in the Inquisitor episode in Red Dwarf. The Lister that should have existed, where when they deleted him.
Yeah, another one you mean?
Statham's the goalie? Nah, dude, you gotta get the fat guy's got to be the goalie, or is that just hockey?
No, it's no. Statham is the goalie.
No, but as soccer fans, would you say?
No, with soccer, you gotta have somebody spry. Those goals are huge.
Okay,
fat guy's only gonna be able to cover about a fifth.
I'm thinking hockey. All right.
Yeah, hockey, a big guy will help you.
But if you quite like your sort of British gangster type stuff, and you fancy a British football version of The Longest Yard, it's a pleasant 90 minutes, isn't it? It's a watchable, fun, forgettable movie. Nothing, you're not going to want to run out and buy the Blu-ray and have it in your collection necessarily. But
so I think Matthew Vaughn produced it as well, didn't he?
He did.
Wow.
He did. Yeah. Taxi Driver. Funnily enough, right? This French friend of mine, I think I told you part of this story. She said, "Oh, there's a special screening of Taxi Driver," and I'd only ever seen part of it. I'd never seen the whole film. So this was in the late 90s. So we went to see it, and there's that really weird scene where he takes the girl on a date to the cinema, and they're kind of watching that strange film that's sort of semi-pornographic, and it cuts to really weird biology shots, and it's quite strange. And I was sitting there thinking, Jesus Christ, why has this girl brought me to see this movie? This is like a terrible date film. And then the next week she took me to see Irreversible.
She's a keeper. Man.
She took you to see Irreversible.
She took me to see Irreversible.
Oh my gosh!
Did she give you like fun like little winks and stuff during the rape scene when she's like,
gosh,
Did she what?
Did she give you
like the winky eye during the big sex?
No, she did not give me the winky eye.
I know, but seriously, like I'm sure you all exchanged a look during that part, and we're like, "What the hell did you do?"
I actually was like, I was speechless, and I mean that scene goes on so long.
Right?
Oh man, that movie.
The worst rape scene in all of film history. It's the one that like makes you.
Awful.
It's the only one that makes you like, please turn this off. Like, please, what is this? Stop that movie, please. I don't like this anymore. What are you doing?
I mean, most people won't have heard of this film, but it's a French movie with Monica Bellucci and her husband of the time. And the whole film is told, it's about 12 scenes, and it's told in reverse. So you start with what was the end of the night, and it slowly works backwards, which is really weird. Vincent Cassel is the other lead.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it's a strange and intense film. Because you see the scene with the somebody gets their head caved in a sex club. And
so
I mean,
that's the scene that I first saw on the internet, and they were presenting it like it was a real video, but I knew it was from a movie because I recognized Vincent Cassel, and I was like,
it's so realistic because
I was like, what is this movie? And everyone was like, dude, it's not a movie, dude, it's real. I was like, no, it isn't. It's a movie. And it looks real for sure. CGI violence was pretty new at the time, and like it was definitely like
no, it wasn't CGI. It was clever because when the camera
trick
sort of
photography, yeah.
They tricked the dummy body double in.
It's what they did with like The Passion, where the guys like all got all the grotesque makeup, and then using like computers, you erase it. So as the violence is happening, you like erase the normal skin, so that way the makeup starts showing more and more. And then when the camera follows the fire extinguisher up and down, they'll do clever cuts here and there.
That's the scene. Was that actually the rapist that he killed? Because I was never really sure if it was the same guy.
Pretty sure
it was. Right, okay.
Better be.
That was one of the things in the movie that I wasn't sure if it was him, but man, that was. I mean, it's put it this way, Gord. Don't sit down to watch this one with the family.
I've seen this movie.
Oh, you've seen it?
I have seen this movie.
Comments?
It was a long time ago, and I don't want to watch it again because it was incredibly. I mean, like there's Gaspar Noé films. It's like there's always a certain amount of genius to it you can appreciate. Like I think casting Monica Bellucci as the victim was. I think he wanted a woman that the audience would be like, oh, this woman is so gorgeous. Because she's one of the most beautiful women in the world at this time. Yeah. And so a lot of people, when they watch a movie and they see good looking women, we tend to objectify them. And I think he wanted you to objectify her until you saw this awful thing happen. So you would feel icky and guilty and all that. And I'm like, okay, that's effective. I get it. Can I stop now? Why does the scene have to last almost 10 minutes?
It's also great because it shows Monica Bellucci. She's one of those actresses that has balls. She makes movies that are always like I think the first time I noticed her was she's like the naked vampire chick in Bram Stoker's Dracula. And, she's not afraid to do these kind of roles that are, a little crazy. And, she really got to bust out her acting chops.
But so the guy who gets murdered, though, is not the person who did that to her. He's talking to the guy, and Vincent Cassel kills the wrong guy.
Fine. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I thought that when I first watched the movie, I was like, is that the wrong guy? This is one of those things where if you don't recognize the face of the actor, it's easy to mix it up with somebody else. It's not that guy.
Right.
We
don't know what happens to the actual criminal.
But all of other Gaspar, he loves doing those big, long, crazy takes that are way like super impressive and hard to do, and Climax and Enter the Void. Those two movies are out of this world.
Enter the Void was the only other one of his that I saw, and I was like, again, there's a certain level of genius to it that I can appreciate, but I don't want to watch it again.
Climax is a great old-fashioned horror movie, kind of.
Actually, you just reminded me that Stupenzo, we've got to do a double bill. Chew the fat of in what in my view is Vincent Cassel's best performance, and that's Marine.
So, I've seen Marine.
I've heard of that. Gangster thriller.
This is an absolutely. It's two films. It's basically one. It's like June. It's got two parts. It's the true story of what was the number one criminal in France, robbing all these banks and stuff. I saw both parts of this at the cinema, funnily enough, with the same girl, the one who took me to see Irreversible. And this was a much more pleasing experience. These films came out weeks apart. They were like part one was released one Friday, and then part two was released the next Friday. And we were straight back in the same screen. It's a phenomenal film with an incredible performance. You've got great supporting characters like Gerard Depardieu, one of his best acting roles, I would say, as well. Set over a period of about 20 years. So it's got that nice period feel with lots of great production design. And this guy was like a gangster legend, incredibly arrogant. he wrote several books while he was in prison. He organized a prison breakout. He tried to break back into prison to break the rest of the men out. He actually attacked a prison with machine guns and shit. So
I remember seeing this movie and being like, Gerard Depardieu, where has he been?
Yeah. Well, I can't recommend this more highly. I've got the double DVD box set still.
Look how high loaded those revolver blanks are, where they're like spewing out like dragon sparks. You know, like what?
Yeah. Damn. Don't let Alec Baldwin near that gun, man. But
I first noticed Vincent Cassel with Brotherhood of the Wolf. I saw that in theaters, and that was very good. And then like he was in an American movie shortly after that, Eastern Promises. I was like, oh, who is this guy? This guy's a big deal.
This was
in one of the Ocean's 11 sequels.
This was before Brotherhood of the Wolf, but this is the movie that catapulted him to international stardom, because this did really well overseas.
Yeah.
If I can make a movie recommendation real quick, because I'm seeing it's on Amazon Prime. If you happen to have Prime, they have I think there's 3 of them. 2 of the 3 OSS 117 movies are on Amazon Prime now. Those movies are freaking hilarious. They're
kind of like the French James Bond spoof.
James Bond / Austin Powers a bit, not quite as zany as Austin Powers, but
the guy who played the artist, right?
Yep. Yeah. Those are really, really funny movies.
I loved The Artist. I don't know why people.
Yeah, I thought The Artist was really good.
I like The Artist.
I don't know if it should have won Best Picture that year.
I thought it did. I thought it was a very underrated Best Picture winner.
I think it was because the filmers were praising it a lot.
Well, Hollywood does love sucking themselves off. So, anytime you make a movie about the tribute to old Hollywood, they eat that stuff up. But I thought it was just real clever.
Yeah, I like the movie a lot.
So there's 3 of the OSS movies.
Yeah, these were funny.
This is the first one, Gord, right?
Yep. And I mean, it's got him and the lady from The Artist, Berenice Bejo, who is stunningly gorgeous. But I mean, so is this other lady here who I'm not as familiar with. But yeah, this.
Oh, hello.
It's like the opening scene of the movie.
That's the opening scene. Oh, is this the second scene in the movie?
That's a little bit later, but yeah,
Jesus.
He's
are there any scenes in the film where women are not tied up?
It's like it's like the old Wonder Woman comics.
There are scenes where he's tied up, so there's that. But what's so funny is if you ever watch the show Archer, he's like the French version of Archer, where he's actually a competent fighter and gunman, but he's otherwise really inept, but all of the women love him.
Right.
So it's kind of that sort of thing. But yeah, they're so funny. They're so funny.
It sucks that Jean Dujardin, or however you say his name, he won that Best Actor award, and then he was in Wolf of Wall Street, and then I haven't seen him since. What is he doing?
Yeah, I mean, he had these.
That main guy, Jean Dujardin, however you say his name.
Wait, was it the Swiss account guy in there?
Yeah. Jean Dujardin.
So. There's another scene with a woman tied up in a bikini.
I was saying, if you ever read old Wonder Woman comics, you'd be shocked how often
scenes.
So like the guy who created Wonder Woman was an S&M fetishist, which is why if you read those early comics, like Wonder Woman gets tied up in every issue somehow.
Right. Let's
that kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Someone's asking. I think Drew Gordon's asking in the chat who directed them. Probably someone French. Yeah, Michael Hazenavix. I don't know how you pronounce his freaking name.
Michael has a French name.
Yes,
that's his name.
Michael has a French name.
Let's have a quick look. Directed, Michael Hazenavicius. There you go. I think I pronounced that more.
Hazenavicius. Vicus Vanderbilt.
Hazenavicius.
Jean Dujardin, as who was in The Artist. I mean,
he's doing stuff. French.
He's done other stuff, and I mean, you know what it is with a lot of actors from Europe. If they get 1 or 2 hits in Hollywood that buys them their house in the south of France, they don't necessarily want to go and live and work in America. I mean,
no.
No,
but I was saying I don't mind foreign movies. He did another OSS 117 in 2021. Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Let's see.
From Africa with Love.
Yeah, that's the most recent one. I haven't seen this one either.
Check out that poster.
That's great. I love his face. He's got one of those faces that's just like
he looks like Inspector Clouseau from the Pink
Yeah,
Panther film.
it really does. It's kind of like these movies they homage so many different spy things. I mean, yes, obviously OSS 117 is obviously.
I will check out this third one.
Their little spin on 007, but yeah, obviously From Africa with Love is a spin on From Russia with Love. But
look at this lady.
Yeah.
I like how he's got a bullseye on his lower abdomen.
They're kind of shot in that old style as well, aren't they? They've got a very old look to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I've got to watch this.
I'm gonna. Do you know what? We'll do a special. Let's do a chew the fat on all the on the OSS movies. Oh, Gord, you got to come along for that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll do a special ep. So it looks like they did actually go to Africa then, unless that's a backdrop. That's not a backdrop, is it? That's Africa.
Hard to tell. Yeah, might be.
Yeah.
I like films where characters are always wearing nice suits. I don't know why. There's something cool about it. There's something cool about it. There's just coolness you can't help but feed off it.
That gun's pretty tiny.
Yeah.
I've got to see.
I mean, granted, yes, you're going to have to probably. I mean, if you hate subtitles, I mean, that might present an issue.
No, I don't. I love foreign.
Well, I mean, I'm mostly.
I watch all my English movies with subtitles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly speaking to like people in the chat. If that's an issue, yes, these movies are all in French. They're in French.
Hello.
So
what's going on there? Explain, Gord.
I don't know.
Another satanic Hollywood person. Same old shit.
I haven't seen the third one, so I have no idea who she is.
This is great, actually, because I mean, we're getting some good recommendations here. I think OSS. We need to see these movies.
Mm-hmm.
We also need to find out what's going on with that lady's tongue. I don't know, but clearly it's important that we know.
But if you're curious of the order, the first one is Nest of Spies. That's the first one.
So there's just the three.
Cairo, Nest of Spies is the first one, and then From Africa with Love would be the third one, and the second one is called Lost in Rio.
Lost in Rio.
Yeah.
That's so that's almost like Moonraker.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if we get that up quickly. Stepenzo, what are the stuff have you been up to?
I watched I've been watching a bunch of weird stuff, but I watched something new, something good, something British.
Oh yeah.
It was a really creepy horror movie that was very weird and spooky. It was called
What's it called?
Stop Motion. I watched it and liked it. It was weird and freaky, and
I think Gosling Craig recommended it as well.
Well made. Obviously, like whoever made it has a thing for stop motion. But basically, without spoiling too much, it's just a creepy kind of almost like metaphorical like story. A lot of kind of like Perfect Blue, like you don't know what's real, what's not. But basically, the gist is it's a young lady who is following the footsteps of her mother, who is like an acclaimed stop motion animator who's like crippled with arthritis. And she's basically helping her mother finish her last film. And she also has aspirations to make her own stop motion film. And she basically goes crazy. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. But it's freaky. It's weird and spooky. And there's there's a little creepy girl that's in the room, and a boyfriend, and some freaky monster type characters, and then every once in a while we cut to the actual stop motion movie she's animating, and it is just bizarre. It looks like a Tool video, So yeah, it was just trippy and weird, and one of those like head scratching horror movies that I appreciate. Very well made, methodical, and again, it's I love it when people take they got a little bit to work with, and they do a lot with it.
I thought the trailer looked interesting.
Yeah, Northern, why are you nesting in this woman's head? What's going on there?
But I mean, if you are doing like a big project, if you are working on like a big labor-intensive project, like a stop-motion film or an animation or a review of Rings of Power, The stuff just kind of sits. It kind of lives in your head rent free. You start having dreams about shit like Gordon King. Did you have Rings of Power dreams? I hope not.
I have managed to avoid them thus far.
Once that starts happening, that's when you need to cut back.
Give it time, man. That looks like Brogu in the Brogu.
This is the last stop for Grogu. It's inside this hollowed out.
What would you give this out of 10?
As a big fan of horror movies, it's solid 7 or 8 out of 10. I mean, it's a great, it's a well done little film that's creepy and freaky and weird, and I liked it.
Just want to see if I know any of the.
It's kind of grimy and gross, and I mean, it's not necessarily gory, kind of.
Just mostly, just stabbing then.
Yeah, dead animals and shit. Nothing like people getting their heads chopped off, but yeah, like taxidermy type crap. If you're turned off by that shit, I love it.
I think like the main actress.
Just haunting images. That's all you need half the time. Stuff that'll stay in your brain for a long while.
Yeah.
I know
also,
the main actress
building.
is in that movie Nightingale. I know that.
Right. Yeah, the apartment building. The setting is very weird too. It's freaky. It's like a weird, like monolithic, strange building that's like very monotone looking. Just it's not a lot of visually interesting stuff going on in the background, which makes it like feel empty and strange and derelict. It was cool. It was a cool movie, and the stop motion sequences alone are worth watching for the movie because they're super cool and weird.
Did you all see that trailer for that Late Night with the Devil movie that's coming out?
I haven't seen the trailer. I've seen footage. I've seen clips of it and pictures, and everyone recommending it. And I know it's about a guy interviewing himself or something.
Oh yeah,
that looks really cool.
Right, this is David Dalmatian, who he was sitting behind me. I met him at the June premiere. So he's the guy who plays Piter in June Part 1.
I know Nadia. Nadia actually, she's done makeup and stuff like that. She's met him too.
Oh, does the devil like show up on TV and possess everyone's homes? Is that what it's about?
I would just say watch the trailer. It's one of the most intriguing movie trailers I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, the trailer looks really good.
When does it
pretty creepy? I was genuinely creeped out by the trailer. I liked it.
I really rate David as an actor, and he's had a really interesting life. At one point, he was like sleeping in cars and shit. And if you read about,
are you really an actor if you haven't slept in a car?
Well, he went through some pretty, hardcore, heavy times. So I'm kind of quite proud to see how he's turned out, considering what he's been through. But yeah, I had a really good chat with him at the June premiere, and he's done some really interesting work. I saw him in a role where he had practically no dialogue, and I just thought, who is this guy? He's stealing every scene he's in.
I remember him in The Dark Knight when he's
I was I remember his little bit part in The Dark Knight where he's that crazy guy.
Yeah.
And then he's an Ant-Man and...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in everything, though. He's even in Gotham as well. And
I mean, Nolan clearly likes him, and Nolan's had him in a few movies at this point, I think.
Oh, Denis Villeneuve too. Put him in Dune Part 1 and Blade Runner 2049.
He's been in different. He's played different characters in DC, different characters in Marvel. He's a bloody chameleon. This actor.
Yeah, he's the real character actor. Yeah, played that funny guy with the spots on, and that was one of the few superhero.
He was one of the best. He was the best character in it, in my opinion. It was just. It was just so awkward, but God, it was fun to watch.
I can't remember if that's his wife or not, but I'm pretty sure she was with him at June, this lady. Anyway, yeah, I really rate him. He's going to get an Oscar one day, I reckon, for like Best Supporting Actor or something. And he may even get Best Actor. He was also in Oppenheimer as well. I had a role in Oppenheimer. Yep. Yeah.
He does not look any different than he did in The Dark Knight. He still looks the bloody same as well.
Yeah, trying to find the TV show that I first saw him in. I forget the name of it now. Wasn't Animals, but it was like it was kind of a really weird show. It was like a throwback to gangster sort of gangs, you know, but 60s gangs with sort of greasers, and he was like a greaser, and the gangs all had really cool cars, it was a really good show, but it got cancelled after one season, and he was in it, and he hardly had any lines. I think it might be this, might have been Reprisal. Yeah, this was it.
Okay.
Good show. It's only one season, sadly, but it had this really sort of kitsch, over the top feel to it. It's got a bit of a Streets of Fire vibe, but slightly darker. There he is, and he played like sort of one of the main villains, sort of key henchman. But his thing was that he just didn't really say much. He only had a couple of lines in the whole show. But he did so much with the character. It was amazing. And I was like, God, this guy's phenomenal to do, you know, so much with so little. I really liked him. Thought he was great.
I mean, for crying out loud, he played a guy covered in polka dots in the Suicide Squad, and actually was a pretty dang good character.
Yeah, I really like. That film, I quite liked that film because.
Yeah, I mean, it's a silly story. It's not great storytelling, but it's really good character work. Really good character work, other than Harley Quinn, who I find quite annoying. But other than that, I enjoyed it.
So has anybody got anything else they want to recommend before we wrap up and plug shit that's coming up?
Kiss of Death, starring Nicolas Cage and David Caruso.
I watched that a long time ago. I remember.
I rewatched it. It's so awesome. It's brutal. It's my favorite Nick Cage, I think.
When you say it's so awesome, is it like it's so bad it's awesome?
No, it's legit badass. That's the one where
David Caruso as well.
This is like 1995 or something. Yeah, I just rewatched it recently, and that one and Copland, those two, great double feature. I think they tonally.
Do you mean Copland with Sylvester Stallone?
Stallone, yeah.
Oh, that's a great film. I love that film.
Kiss of Death rules, man.
Movie.
Yeah.
David Caruso's on fire, and Nick Cage is like one of the scariest mofo's ever in this movie.
Yeah,
he's like bench pressing a stripper at one point, you know. He's huge. He's all jacked in this movie. And it's just a great tragic crime story.
I know I saw this when it came out, but I can't remember.
Rewatch it. You'll be blown away how good it is. You'll be like, damn, this is awesome.
All right. I'm going to put that on the list and come back and mention it. Well, we've got an industry interview coming up tomorrow. Stupenzo, did you get those comics I sent you?
I did.
Fantastic. You got to read them all before the interview. So
right now, before Beetlejuice,
we've got we've got an interview with Ben Cullis, who is currently the man behind 77 Comics, which is I guess you call it an independent publication house. They've got about 5 different comics they're doing, one of which is called Blazer. But there's another one that's kind of horror themed. They've got about 4 comics out. It's all done independently. They crowdfunded and stuff. Ben Cullis is one of the ex-staff of 2000 AD, and he's been in the industry for about 30 years. So he's coming on at 8 o'clock for about 90 minutes tomorrow. Then we also have, of course, our review of Shogun slightly later, about 10:30 probably, give or take, unless the other show runs over, in which case I'll push it to 11. But we will be doing our Shogun review tomorrow, so looking forward to getting into that. Then, of course, next Sunday, we've got a very, 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 very special episode of Chew the Fat, where we're going to be talking to the cast and crew of this. So they're coming in the studio.
Base, this is Station 31. Do you copy? This is Station 31, Base. Are you there? We found something. Something in the ice. The generator's down.
We're running low on supplies,
and we're out of chocolate.
We're gonna run out of chocolate.
Not now, Janine.
That's right. The cast and crew, the producer of The Thing, the musical, will be in the studio with us.
That sounded like Stupenzo's voice.
It's very suspiciously similar. I know it's unusual. And I think I think the Muppet in question based their character on Stupenzo. So we've got Richard Dreyfuss coming in the studio, who's gonna be interviewed. So have your questions ready, chat. I'm also told that they might be singing a couple of the songs. So, but only if my co-host, uninspired reviewer, joins in. So we'll see what happens. Whatever the case, it's certainly going to be a ton of fun. And if you haven't seen the movie The Thing, well, then what's wrong with you? You should have seen it by now. So Gord, what you got coming up? Obviously, you've got Beetlejuice on very soon.
I've got.
Else you want to plug, mate, while you're here?
I've got, like you said, I've got Beetlejuice coming up in about an hour and a half. It's going to be me, Stupenzo, Adam Gray, Babs, and Fermented Cinema. We're going to be talking that. Obviously, I'm working on my Rings of Power Episode 3 video. And next week, I'm actually going to be with Cannoli and a couple other guests on my channel. We're going to have a little sports movie tournament in lieu of March Madness. We're going to be pairing up 32 sports movies and picking a winner from the whole bunch.
Am I coming on that? Because I'm a big sports movie guy.
I can send you the list of the movies that are on there. I mean, if you've seen them all.
Can I pick my own list?
Well, it's we're basically we're picking from a list of movies that I cross-referenced the list of 100 movies we'd all seen. We did a little bit of homework, and now we've all seen every one of them.
Have you got Hoosiers on that list?
I believe Hoosiers is on there. Yeah. Okay,
good. What about We Are Marshall?
We Are Marshall, unfortunately, did not quite make the cut. There was just other ones
That's a very underrated film, that film.
Oh, I agree. I quite like the movie. I do quite like the movie. My grandfather was a Marshall alum, so he told us that story growing up.
Well, you know what? When I rented out that movie, because it has a very innocuous poster that doesn't suggest mass tragedy event. So I thought, this looks quite nice, like a heartwarming family drama with Michael McConaughey. What's it?
I think I was the only person in the theater the day I saw it that knew what was coming because, like I said, my grandfather went there, so I knew that story pretty well because I remember him telling me how devastated he and other Marshall alums were when that happened. But yeah, it's a good movie, dang good movie.
It is a good film.
But also, and one last movie plug, and I thought of it because I was on Roman of the Empire show last week, and on a panel of 9 people talking our favorite Irish films, and I mentioned a 10-year-old Irish film that not a single person other than myself had watched before. It's called
Which
Calvary.
One?
It's called Calvary with Brendan Gleeson, and it's got a great cast: Brendan Gleeson, Kelly Riley, Chris O'Dowd. Aidan Gillen, who you all remember as Littlefinger from Game of Thrones.
Cool.
Dylan Moran, who's in Shaun of the Dead. M. Emmett Walsh. I mean, that's a fantastic film. Donal Gleason's in it for a small amount of time.
I feel like I should have seen it, but
Calvary is fantastic. Yeah, Calvary's fantastic.
Hang on,
such a good movie.
Unless I'm getting mixed up with The Guard, which is another Brendan Gleeson one.
I saw The Guard.
I believe The Guard and Calvary are both directed by I think they're directed by the same guy, which is Martin McDonagh's brother, John Michael McDonagh. He directed both of those.
I can't believe I've not seen this film.
It's excellent.
Did you say Calvary?
Calvary.
Cavalry. You mean cavalry, as in. Hang on.
Calvary, as in, it's a reference to the cross at Calvary.
Yeah. You mean this film?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
It's fantastic. Such a good movie. One of the best movies from that year, and I don't even remember how I stumbled upon it, but I literally stumbled upon it the year it came out.
Well,
And I think I maybe saw like a Rotten Tomatoes score once that was pretty high, and I was like, "Oh, that looks interesting." And I like.
You've seen The Guard, right?
I haven't seen The Guard.
Yeah, it's the same actor, same director, I think, and also very funny, very good.
Yeah, The Guard is very good. Oh well, I will have to check this out.
Tremendous.
He's one of those actors that's always good. I don't think I've ever seen a bad Brendan Gleeson performance. Even in Lake Placid, which is a really silly B movie with a giant alligator, he still manages to make it work.
Gary Bolter from the Outcast Australia is here.
Yeah, Banshees. My 3 Irish movies on that stream were Calvary, Banshees, and Once. Those were my 3.
I believe you may well see Gary, or possibly not Gary, someone who looks like Gary on the thing stream coming up.
Nice.
So, Northern, anything you want to plug, mate, before we wrap up?
Well, yeah, I've got Scanners coming on Friday with Inside Man, so I'm going to be doing this, talking about that movie. And I'm hoping before the end of the week, I can do my actual Strong, Brave, Stunning Women in Movies essay on Rapunzel from Tangled. And right now I'm trying to get together video of all the Marvel Phase 1s at once. And if I manage, maybe the other 3 phases.
No,
but not Phase 4. No, avoid that.
Very good. Stupenzo-licious, man. What you got cooking?
Well, yeah, Gord King's channel right after this, or an hour after this, Beetlejuice. Then I'll probably go right from there to Diabolical Souls to talk about Scavenger's Reign some more, episode 2. Wednesday we got Spaced Invaders We Watch coming out. Terrible movie. It's Watch Us Suffer, me and Blue Collar Loser. And then I guess Thursday I'll be back on Diabolical Souls to finish the Arcane discussion. We'll be talking about the final episode 9, a 9-week ordeal. Little Platoon, actually Andrew, Hostman, they're all going to be there. The whole crew, I think Zax and a few others. But yeah, and then other than that, I will probably be talking about some musical movie on Sunday here on Outcast Creative. And yeah, we'll see what else the week brings us, won't we?
Yeah, indeed. Fantastic. Well,
and yeah, tomorrow I guess I'm going to be. Tomorrow's going to be not just Space
Shogun.
Invaders, but the interview with.
Oh yeah, you're coming on the interview, and you got Shogun.
I haven't seen Shogun yet, so maybe I'll join it next week when I don't have a bunch of stuff to do.
Stupenzo's on the interview with me with Ben Cullis tomorrow, where I will be deferring to Stupenzo's extensive comic knowledge. Fantastic. Okay, well look, thanks to everyone in the chat. Good to see several regulars and some new faces. If you like 2000 AD, if you like Judge Dredd, that kind of stuff, the interview tomorrow is going to be great fun. Good to see you back, James Willard. Gary, always a pleasure to see you here. Gord, great to have you on, man. You need to drop by.
Thank you.
Got to drop by the Nielsen
welcome, man.
more often. And we're going to be on with our usual Shogun team. So we'll have Leroy on as well. Presumably, Blue Collar will make it. I hope he's all right. It's quite strange of him not to turn up tonight.
I know it isn't. He's very sleep deprived. I wouldn't be surprised if he was playing Helldivers 2 and fell asleep.
Yeah, he did say he had not slept since Sunday, basically. So he
might have get some rest.
I think
get some rest.
Let him get his little sleepy Z's in.
Well, that's it from us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my guests' content as well.
I'm slowly working up to I got over 350 subscribers now, guys.
Yeah.
So,
when I get to 500, I'm going to do a karaoke party, but maybe that'll never happen. Who knows?
Hey, you know what? After the last Masters of the stream, Drinker might have you on. Get your fucking subscriber count up.
Don't patronize me.
That's all. I'm hoping. No,
I'm just messing with you.
I think that might happen, actually. Depends. I think that might happen.
Oh, how sweet.
So, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. Don't forget to call those people that you care about and tell them that you love them. and we'll see you all again real soon.
See you later.